Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I'm making a Pokemon TCG Pocket tier list, except this tier list is only with the single prize cards and only the final evolutions. I didn't make this tier list. I think the description was in Spanish, but I'm pretty sure I probably didn't translate. It's like the no non-EX. I guess they're single point cards because you don't have prizes in Pocket. But anyways, we're ranking them, and I'm going to talk about them within the context of the regular Pokemon TCG, the regular Pokemon TCG Pocket, not within the context of only the single prize or single point Pokemon. Because if it's only the single point Pokemon without EXs, that's not normally what people are playing. You could play that with there's like a no EX thing, but it's not like an official format or anything like that. We'll see what happens with formats in the future, but there's just one for now, so we'll talk about that one. And so that means you want to be a Pokemon that's able to beat Pikachu EX and Mewtwo EX and things like that. But we'll just go down. You want Pokemon that do good damage and have good stats and things like that. And I'm going to go in order. I said these are final evolutions. I think the only good card that isn't here is Meowth. That's a card I'd like want to kind of include and talk about. I don't think there are any other previous evolutions that are. And the Caterpie's all right. I don't know. There might be some that I'm just forgetting, but generally they don't really matter. We'll start with the basics though here. There are a few of those. I don't know all these off the top of my head, certainly. But I'm going to start with the basics that are 30 for 1. I don't remember which exactly are. There's Scyther, Heatmore. Um, you also have the Tynamo, but that's not a final evolution and it's low HP. You have Hitmonchan. I'll put Farfetch'd here. There's Eevee on this tier list. I'm gonna put Eevee in F. I mean, Eevee's not necessarily an F tier card, but there's Mew. I forgot there's this Mew. There's like some weird cards. Mew's obviously not like single point Pokemon is supposed to be like budget friendly, but obviously this Mew is not. I've never seen that card played. It's not very good either, I don't think. Oh, you got Pyukumuku, and is there a Psychic one? No, there's not a Psychic one. There's not a regular Lightning one either, or a Darkness one, or a Metal one. Though there's Mawile. Mawile's a little different though. So we'll save that. Some more disruptive one. So these do the Scyther does. Why does this look weird? Anyway, so Scyther is gonna do four of them do 30 for 1. The Scyther, the Heatmore, the Pyukumuku, and the Hitmonchan. Heatmore and Hitmonchan, I believe, have 80 HP. And then you have, and Hitmonchan kind of goes with Hitmonlee, but I think they're pretty different. I mean, they're not cards that see that much play. A lot of these cards don't. But the Scyther has 70, and Pyukumuku, I believe, also has 70. And of these, yeah, that is 70. Of these types, water is definitely the best type, in my opinion. I think water is better than fire. You can make it, well, yeah, I think water is better than fire. You can make an argument fire is better than water, but ultimately these cards aren't super great. Um, they're okay. I'm gonna pop them in B tier. They're pretty like generic to good. A lot of these cards are gonna end up in the lower portion of this tier list, and I think Farfetch'd is an S tier card. It's the most efficient single prize or single point basic Pokemon, right? It's 40 for 1. That's really good. We'll see 40 for 1 on some evolutions as well. But then I'll go and let's look at some other basics. We got Tangela. We have there aren't that many like basics that don't evolve. There's a few, and they don't see too much play. We got Pincurchin. I think this is supposed to be Pincurchin. I think this is supposed to be Pincurchin. I think this is the wrong card that was put in the tier list if I had to guess. So we'll say this is Pincurchin. This is so I don't know. Watching this Helioptile. No, what is it? Helioptile is supposed to be Pincurchin. I think they got the wrong card, whoever created this tier list by accident. But that's what we're going with. We had a bunch of these. Colorless has a lot of basics as well that don't evolve. Colorless is a weird type. Porygon doesn't evolve. We have the Hitmonlee, which I mentioned earlier. We have Jinx. We got Mewtwo. We got. Are there any lightning ones? Oh, there's Zapdos. Oh, there's the birds. There's Moltres. There's Articuno. And there is, we'll see if I forgot any. If I forgot any, obviously, I'll just come back and do those when I get to it. Pinsir as well. And there's a good, there's a good chunk, but a lot of them are evolutions as well. A lot are stage ones, right? And a lot of them are kind of boring stage ones. But anyways, so we got Hitmonlee. I think Hitmonlee's a really good card. It's 30 snipe for 1 fighting. It's kind of like, I played a lot of Zebstrika with Pikachu EX, and Zebstrika is very solid. It's not consistently amazing, but it's a solid card. I think Hitmonlee is a pretty good card. It was definitely one of my favorite cards coming into Pokemon TCG Pocket, and I haven't really played it that much because the power level has been higher than I was expecting with Pikachu, like Pikachu EX and Mewtwo EX just dominating, and you only have 80 HP. It's like Hitmonlee, but hitting, or it's like Hitmonchan, but hitting the bench. So those two kind of go together, I guess. Fighting is like a mediocre type to be hitting a weakness for. It's like solid theoretically, but right now Lightning is the best type to be hitting for weakness, at least in terms of what I see. I see a lot of water, and I see the birds. Obviously, Articuno EX is weak to lightning, but so is Moltres EX and Zapdos EX, which is quite nice. So fighting weakness, traditionally a great weakness. It's not super great right now, but it's not terrible. Oh, like Farfetch as well is weak to lightning, but Hitmonlee 30 snipe is solid. Then we have this um, Tangela, which does heals 10 and does 40. That seems pretty rad. Um, it's not like the worst stack I've ever seen, I guess, but I'm gonna put in D tier. Seems pretty underwhelming. Lapras is interesting. It's a card I've seen. It's a card that can get good value out of a Misty theoretically. It's a basic with 100 HP, which is nice. It does have 2 retreat, which isn't ideal, but it does 70 if you have 4 on it for 1 water, or it does 20 for 1, 70 for 4. Theoretically, as it could get good value off a Misty in a way that really very few other cards can. We'll talk about Blastoise, but we'll save the stage twos for the end. But I think Lapras is okay. I'm gonna put in A tier. I might actually end up. We'll see. I might end up like shifting things around a bunch, but it's an okay card. It's one I've seen definitely. Not seen a ton, but I have seen some. And it has high HP. Has decent stuff going on here. I believe these all have 1 retreat, and Hitmonlee has 1 retreat as well. Retreat cost does definitely matter with these. Um, Tangela's 1. The most no Tangela's 2. Okay, it's like Tangela could have 2. We have what is this? Bruxish, Bruxish. There we go. I don't know I don't know exactly how to pronounce all these Pokemon, but I guess if I don't pronounce it right, whatever. Anyway, this does 70 for 2 if your opponent's active as damage counters on it. Otherwise, it's just 10 for 2. It does have 90 HP and 1 retreat, so pretty solid stats overall. I think this card's solid with Greninja. Like I think Bruxus is actually a decent card. I haven't really seen it that much. Also, I'm not ordering the tiers. There's a lot of cards to get through, but Bruxus I think is a really underrated card. I really haven't seen it, as I said, much at all. I can't think of the last time I've seen it. But with Greninja, with Articuno EX, those are spreading damage in small amounts. If you're hitting them with like Starmie EX, yes, it's a solid finisher, but that you could just attack with like Starmie EX or whatever. But I think this card's pretty solid if used well. I don't know if it's like getting the energy on you have Misty, but this isn't really what you want to be Mistying to. You want to be Mistying to an EX really, but it's still a theoretically pretty solid card. And the other water Pokemon is Articuno. I've seen a little bit of Articuno, I think, but not that much. It's 60 for 3 and coin flip paralysis, which is okay. I mean, we'll talk about coin flip paralysis with Pincushion as well. I'll talk about that as this is Pincushion. Just trust me, it's definitely Pincushion. So we'll talk about Moltres too. Moltres is what's Articuno? Is that like self damage? Yeah. So or damage to one of your Pokemon. But you have the Moltres, which is 130 for 3 on a coin flip. And that's like kind of crazy. It's super swingy. I have not really seen this Moltres. I might have seen it within Moltres EX, but it's very sketchy. I think this card, I'm going to put it in C tier. I don't really know what to say about it. It's so swingy. If you hit heads, it's really insane. If you flip tails, it's terrible. You're wasting 3 energies probably because you're not doing anything and your HP solid, but it is 3 energy. You're probably hiding behind a Moltres EX to start or something like that, and it'd be better to power up like an Arcanine EX or Charizard EX. You can't necessarily have those powered up. They are evolutions, but a Charizard EX is another energy, but still, I'd definitely look for something that's not Moltres. I'd put probably the Sensquatch over it. I'm not sure. Moltres is a weird card, though. It depends how comfortable you are with coin flips. Then we have Articuno, which is, as I said, the paralysis on a coin flip. This is okay. You can get decent value from Misty. I'll put it in B tier. It's expensive. You're not really applying pressure early, and you are coin flip based, but it's not like if you flip tails, it's the end of the world. If you flip heads, it's quite good, as you're going to be hitting 60 again. They could potion, but pretty solid if you flip heads, but obviously you aren't always doing that. Pincushion is 30 for 2, and I want to make sure there's not actually Pincushion. That'd be kind of embarrassing if there was, but I think that's what it's supposed to be. And 30 for 2, and then you flip a coin of heads paralysis. This is a card that sees really, like, it's probably the most played single prizer or single point Pokemon, but is it the most? It's quite highly played. I guess behind Gardevoir certainly, but it's a card that is okay in Pikachu EX. I played this card a lot, and it's sketchy, but I am warming up to it. I'll put an A tier. It's within a really good deck, so I think that's all right. Zapdos is also sometimes played in Pikachu EX, I think. It does 100 for 3 and 30. Yeah, to one of your benched Pokemon. The bench damage honestly doesn't seem like that big of a deal. I'm thinking about my games, and self-bench damage doesn't seem that bad. I think this card's better than Moltres. I'm actually going to move Moltres down to D. Flipping Tails is like so bad. This is better than it. I'm going to put it in B tier. It's solid. You could play it within Pikachu EX, but it's also outclassed by Zapdos EX and Pikachu EX, and yeah, by those, and then you have some evolutions for some more niche purposes, like Zip Striker. We'll talk about the single prize evolutions, and I've talked about them in the past as well within Pikachu EX. But also, I don't know. I was gonna say, what are we gonna do when we get to like Pokemon with good evolution lines, previous evolutions? Well, we'll see when we get there. Kangaskhan, we got a bunch of colorless ones. I'll actually wait till the end for the colorless ones, or wait till the end of the basics. You have Pinsir. Pinsir is 50 for 2, but it's a double coin flip. So you could do 0, you could do 100, or you could do 50. Half the time you'll do 50. That's okay. You know, it's not bad. It's inconsistent. Flipping double heads isn't absolutely insane. It's good, but flipping one heads, you're probably short on things. So I think Pinsir's not great. It's not like super bad. It's got what, 2 retreat, I think. And yes, 90 HP. Okay, that's a little lower than I thought in terms of its HP. I thought it was 100. I'll put in C tier. It seems unimpressive, but it could do. It's not like a terrible attacker. I might move it down, but I think C is fine. Jinx and a Mewtwo are played in Mewtwo EX, right? And oh, Mr. Mime. Yeah, I was like, oh, what's this Mew do? I don't know what this Mew does. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, what's it do? It says, oh, it does 20 for one psychic, and your opponent reveals their hand, but it's only 60. I don't think this card's very good. I'm gonna put it in. I mean, it's better than the 60 for one cards, I guess. It's not that much better than this EV. I'll put it in. What's its retreat? Its retreat is 1. I'll put it in F tier. No, I'll put it in D tier. It seems not good. I don't think anyone's gonna like play this card because it's super hard to get and it's not that good. But anyways, that's a card. But Mr. Mime and Jinx to me are kind of similar. They each do 30 for 2. They have. Do they have the same stats? Are they both 1 retreat? Yeah, and 80 HP. Mr. Mime says it takes 20 less damage from attacks, which is solid for stalling against other single point decks. I think it's a good card, but it's not amazing. The Jinx is going to do 20 more for each energy attach your points active. So this is hitting like this is like two-shotting a lot of Pokemon. Jinx is solid. I think it's a good card within Gardevoir. I honestly might put it in S tier. I think I said they're similar. I think Mr. Mime is kind of cool, but it's not a card I really play. But I do think it is B tier as it's like a solid staller. And I'll put these, sort them by type, and then sort them by. I don't know. Maybe I won't. But anyways, so you have Jinx. I think Jinx might honestly be S tier. Like it's a card that's so solid in the top deck. And then Mewtwo, I haven't really played with Mewtwo. I haven't really played against Mewtwo either within Mewtwo EX decks. I play against Mewtwo EX all the time because it's really good. And it's not like super hard to obtain. I think a lot of people got Mewtwo packs early on. A lot of people I've talked to got Mewtwo packs. I got Mewtwo packs early on. So I actually don't even know if I have this card, but 120 for 4 is obviously worse than Mewtwo EX, and it's not like super hard to get Mewtwo EX by the time you get Gardevoir up, which is when you'd be using Mewtwo. So I think Mewtwo isn't like a great card. I think Jinx is better than Mewtwo. We'll talk about Kangaskhan as well. I think Kangaskhan's also better than Mewtwo. I think Mewtwo is going to be an A tier card. It's pretty solid within Mewtwo EX, but it's not like amazing either. I think Kangaskhan's really good. Like Kangaskhan might be better than Farfetch'd, to be honest. I'm not sure. It has inconsistencies, but in some ways the inconsistencies are what make it good as well. For double coin flip, you do 30 for each heads, and it is a 3 retreat, so that's like kind of bad. It's definitely better in a deck like Mewtwo EX where you're looking to set up stuff and kind of wall. And Kangaskhan's one of the best walls in the game. We'll talk about Weezing as well later, which is a wall, but Kangaskhan 100 HP is quite good, and damage output is 30 on average, but could hit 60, which can take one shots, which Farfetch'd can never do. I think this is honestly an S tier card as well. I don't think it's like, I don't know if it's better than Farfetch'd. It's a different type of card than Farfetch'd. if your opponents aren't running EX, like this can survive a hit from a Pikachu EX. I mean, they could Giovanni, but we're not talking about that. So we'll assume they don't do that. We'll see. Farfetch Farfetch is like never surviving a hit from Pikachu EX unless they have one bench Pokemon and then you have 10 HP remaining because they hit you for weakness. They could have one bench Pokemon and Giovanni and knock you out. Like Farfetch is not good against that. If you get knocked out by Mewtwo EX with Giovanni for two, there are lots of bad things that can happen due to Farfetch's, I guess, kind of low HP. For a basic, it's not like super low, it's pretty normal, but it's not high. But Kangaskhan's is high, so really solid card there. We have the Lickitung, which is flip coin till you get tails 60 for each heads for 3 colorless, and it has 90 HP. I think this card is pretty bad. I'm going to put in D tier. I wouldn't really recommend playing it. Its damage output, if you get double heads, it's really good, I suppose, but it's 3 NG on a relatively low HP Pokemon. I mean, it just doesn't seem very good. Chansey has 120 HP. These both have 3 or 3. Then Snorlax will have 4, which we'll talk about. It does 60 for 3 and has 120. I think it's a little better, but it's really high. Like for 2 costs still. It's hard to get out of the active and isn't applying that much pressure. It's kind of whatever. Snorlax has 4 retreat and it does 70 for 4. And it has 150 HP on a basic, which is really high. I don't know about Snorlax. I think there was a way to play it where you just kind of leave it in the active, it gets knocked out, and you set up something on the bench behind it. I don't really know if that's viable. I'll also put in C tier. Ultimately, a lot of the time it's really bad, but you're not looking at cards just in random decks. Even though the colorless Pokemon could be put into anything, it'd be terrible in a lot of decks. But I think its upside is higher, so I'll put it in B tier. Or no, not Mimikyu. Ditto. Oh wait, no, we should talk about Tauros. That's 50 for 2, has 100 HP. I think Tauros is okay. I haven't really seen Tauros. I'll put in B tier though. It seems like worse than Kangaskhan. I mean, I guess it does a little more, and it has a cheaper, like a lower retreat cost, but it seems kind of mediocre. Being the one energy attachment is really good. I'll put Tauros in A, but like no one would ever play it. I'll put it in B. It's okay. Then we'll talk about actually the Porygon. I've said this card is terribly designed in terms of game design before because it kind of slows the game down. It's not very good. Looking at the top card of your deck, it's pretty low value. If you just want some random card to fill out your deck and you kind of want a basic Pokemon and it can attack, like it's not like the worst attacker. It's not very good, but it's pretty average. It does something. I guess put in C tier. It's not very good though. It's kind of whatever. Definitely a card that's kind of weird. Then you have Ditto. Ditto is really weird. You copy one of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks. It could be any of them and use it as this attack, but needs the necessary energy. I haven't really used this card. I want to mess around with it. The 2 best decks are Pikachu EX and Mewtwo EX, and it's completely terrible copying either of those attacks. You can't accelerate with Gardevoir if you want to do that. And with Pikachu EX, you don't have any like lightning Pokemon on your bench, probably, so it's not very good. Ultimately, yeah, I don't really see use cases for this card. I mean, maybe in the future it'll be good, and maybe we'll get some type of energy acceleration. It could be really good and really cool. I think it's a really fun card, but right now it's almost unplayable, I think. I've not tried it. If anyone's like played with this card, tell me how it's gone, but it seems really bad. I'll put it in D tier. It has some potential. It seems really fun. Like in the future, I think this card could be good, but in the current metagame, it's not doing anything ever almost. Then we'll talk about the stage ones. Just going to move the stage 2s to the end. Oh, wow, there's a bunch of grass stage 2s. Wow, there's 5 of them. I didn't realize there's that many, but there's a lot of stage 1s. Obviously, stage 1 Pokemon are pretty common. I feel like, and then there's some Pokemon that later got stage 2s, which are just stage 1s for now. So that's also part of why there are so many. Wow, there's a good chunk of stage 2s though. Sometimes just received way more love than others, which I feel kind of bad if you're fans of some of the types here. Like fighting's been having it pretty rough, and yeah. So oh no, metal's been having it really rough. But anyway, so we got our stage 1s here. These are really generic. I don't even like know what some of these do. We'll just flip through. So here we have the Parasect, which is 80 for 3. That's the same as the Slowbro. I don't know if their stats are the same, to be honest. I think Slowbro has more HP. It might have higher retreat. Yeah, the HP I guess is good, but ultimately Psychic, like you got some cool stuff. You could use Gardevoir, so I'll separate the types. I think Executor is pretty solid. 1 energy, 45 average for 1. Decently high HP, but higher retreat. It's an okay card. It's a card I kind of want to play with some. The EX is obviously classes it, but whatever. You have Venomoth, which I think Venomoth is okay. It does 30, and then Poison for 1, which is solid damage. Like it's kind of the same as Wheezing. It's worse than Wheezing, right? But Wheezing's really good. But it's a 1 energy attacker. 1 energy stage ones can be good, and it's okay. I'll put it in B tier as well. I think it's. I'll put it in C tier. I think it's outclassed by Executor. I think Executor's okay. I think it's very playable. I think Venomoth isn't very good. Then this card is like super generic. The Parasect or whatever it's called. I don't remember the name of the Pokemon. Then we got Go-Go, which is also very generic and seems bad. Maybe that's F tier. What's the difference between these two? It just does less damage. That's it. Its attack is technically easier to pay, but you're not mixing types. So in regular play, this is super. It's like just directly worse. Then you have Lilligant. Lilligant's really good. I'll say Whimsicott is a type, like a weakness hitter, but it's pretty bad. And then you have Lilligant, which does 50 for 2 and accelerates, has 100 HP. I think it has 2 retreat. Is it 1? It doesn't really matter what its retreat cost is, as long as it's not like 3. Oh, yeah, it's just 1. Okay. So Lilligant's a pretty good card. I think it's A tier as an energy accelerator, being able to accelerate just to grass as much as you want. I mean, not as much as you want, but like it's pretty free energy acceleration, kind of like Gardevoir is. Unlike and Misty kind of is, but it's not like every turn. It's just when you play it, and not like certainly not something like Brock. So I think Lilligant's a pretty good card. It obviously helps grass out a bunch, and it's a card I like. We'll talk about the stage twos, which I think are really cool with grass. Fire, we have Rapidash and Ninetales. I think Rapidash is an S tier card, and I'll put Ninetales in A, I suppose. It obviously goes with it, Ninetales. No, I'll put it in B. It's not like that good, but it's good with Blaines. 90 for 2 on a stage 1 single point Pokemon is really good, especially when it turns into 120 with Blaines. That's insane. Or just Blaine. I say Blaines. But no, it's just Blaine, and yeah, it's pretty good. Arcanine is not good. I don't think you'd really play this card. Its stats aren't very good. Magmar is playable in the Blaine deck. It's not that good though. Flareon does um, a 110 and you just could have fire from it. That's like okay, I guess. Wait, no, but Moltres 6 doesn't accelerate to it because well, it doesn't accelerate to the EV. I'll put it in D tier. It doesn't seem very good. And then you have Salazzle, which is very generic and not that good. Centiskorch is okay. It hits really high. Can we go with Moltres EX? I don't think it's. I think it's okay. I'll put it in B tier. Golduck 70 for 2 is a pretty solid stat line, and you got a good side deck. I think Golduck's a pretty playable Pokemon. With the evolution line, I'll put it in A. Yeah, it's got a good basic, so A tier seems pretty fair. Tentacruel, it's 60, but it's like 50 in poison, so it's all right. It's all right. I'll put it in. I'll put it in C tier. It doesn't seem that good though. Seal is 90 for 3 water. Um, yeah, that's pretty bad. This is better than some of the alternatives. Honestly, when these lower tiers, it doesn't really matter that much. Cloyster takes 10 less, which is good. It's not that good. It has 120 HP, though it can survive, I guess, like Pikachu EX, or it can survive some things. It's a little scary, but I'll just put it in B. No, I'll put it in C tier. Its attack's pretty bad. 70 for 3 is quite bad. Then you have the Kingler, which says 80, or you can do 160 on a double coin flip, which so that's probably not happening, and it's kind of expensive. You could get value out of Misty. I'll put it in C tier again, I suppose. You have Water, which is 50 snipe for 3 on Seadra. Kind of interesting. Probably bad, though. Probably quite bad. I think like C. I think it's fun with. Actually, no. D seems right. Sea King is really interesting. 80 for 1 on a stage 1 on a coin flip. This can be an absolute menace if you get lucky. Obviously, it's not going to happen consistently. Also, Starmie. Starmie's like not that good. I'll put it in D. I think Sea King has potential. I'll put it in B. I mean, it's if you get lucky, it's really good. But you're not just going to get lucky, but you sometimes will. Then we have Gyarados, which is discard a random energy from your opponent's active for 4 on a water. You need to get really lucky with Misties. If you do, this Pokemon's insane. It has 150 HP. It's very strong. I thought it was an EX when I first saw it, and I was like, this card's bad. I think as a non-EX, it's okay. I like C tier. Vaporeon, I talked about this as a tank, healing 30 each time it attacks, 130 HP. If you can survive hits, you're good. It doesn't really survive hits against the metagame, unfortunately. but I think it's a cool card, but unfortunately I can't really put it higher than C. It's like I'll put it in B. It has some level of potential, certainly. Swanna is quite bad. It's a pretty terrible card. Nothing really going for it there. It's all colorless, but tech attackers aren't really something you're using in the current metagame. Frostmoth is interesting, 40 for 2 in a stage 1, and it puts them to sleep. This is a card that sees play. I'll put it in A tier. It's not like amazing. I'm not a massive fan of special conditions, but I know some people are, so I'll put it there. Now we got the lightning stage ones. These Pokemon are really just like how good are they with Pikachu? And okay, we missed one. We missed Electabuzz. So Electabuzz is a basic, and it says on a coin flip you do 40, and otherwise you can do 80 or you 20 to yourself and just 40. 20 to yourself is like kind of bad, but it's not like the end of the world. But the 80 is just quite good. And it's just an okay card. It's it's not what I put in Pikachu, but honestly, you could probably put in Pikachu. I might try it out. I don't know. Like it's okay, you know. It's not great. Obviously, Pikachu X is better. Zapdos DX is better. I think it's not necessarily better than Zapdos or even like I think Pincurchin is better. Pincurchin can just win games, but it has higher positive if you flip heads. But I think Electabuzz has some solid stuff going on with it. Then we have Helioptile is pretty bad in my opinion. I think it's D. It is playable within the deck, and the deck's good. So it's not an F tier, but so it's whatever. Jolteon is quite bad. It's like flip 4 coins, 40 for each heads. Or no, it's not. What is it? It's flip. Yeah, 40 coins, 40 more for each, 40 for each heads. That's okay average damage actually. That's solid average damage. I'll put in like C. Yeah, I'll put it in C. It's actually, yeah, no, it's more than Helioptile. It's solid average damage. Not really playable in Pikachu, though, because the basic's not lightning. Because they all need to be lightning, but that's still, it's solid stats. Then we have Raichu. Raichu's solid if you can, like, pull stuff off Lieutenant Surge, and it's theoretically really good in Pikachu. I haven't played it yet, I don't think, but it's kind of cool looking. Magneton is kind of interesting, accelerating to itself. Oh, Raichu does 140, by the way. You just get all the energy from it. It does have one retreat. Magneton has 2 retreat, but accelerates to itself just once every single turn. Its attack is 60 for 4, but you can accelerate, as I said, so it's kind of cheap, like with the acceleration. If you can leave it a few turns, I think it's B tier. I don't think this card's that good in Pikachu EX or like Raichu stuff. It's kind of niche. It's kind of cool, but it's niche. Then we have I think the Electabuzz or the Lieutenant Surge accelerates too, which like doesn't seem very useful. Electrode can also be accelerated too with Lieutenant Surge, and this card's cool. This card's pretty good. I think this card's pretty insane in Pikachu AX, and same thing with Zipstrike. Zipstrike is also a good card. I like it. Really good within a top deck though, so not too much I can say bad about it. I can say bad stuff about this card though. It's bad. I can say bad stuff about this card. Where did I put it? It's there. This card is pretty whatever. These bottom tiers are just getting all messed up. Then you have, well, I guess this card's better because of its typing, but it's still not very good. Then you have Golurk, which it's 100 for each head. Yeah, that seems pretty bad. And then Hypno. Hypno's pretty interesting. You flip coin if heads, put your points active to sleep, I believe, which is only a 25% chance that they won't be able to attack on their turn, which isn't great feeling, but Hypno's an okay card. It's a solid card. I'll put it in A. It's not going to do that much every turn, but throughout the course of the game, put your point, like stop him from attacking once, and that's quite good. It is a stage 1, and so that's kind of awkward, but it's a solid card where you can get some value out of it in some games. Then you have in any deck as well, or most decks. Then you have Sandslash, which is pretty generic. It's okay. I mean, it's a card you can play. I'll put it in B tier. I can even see it higher. Like it's not a bad card. It's not the gold deck. I mean, it is the gold deck. They were essentially the same, but the side deck is really good. So it's pretty good for a pre-revolution. It's very good. And Doug Trio, I guess I'll put in B tier as well. It goes with the Marowak deck and Marowak EX deck, and Marowak can go in that deck as well. It's pretty all right. This card objectively better than the Marowak, I think, but it's not a very good card. Then you have what is it? Onyx here. Onyx is interesting. I don't think Onyx. Oh wait, Onyx is a basic. Well, no one saw that. Onyx is a basic. Oh, Paul is also a basic. So Onyx is like interesting with Brock, with Golem. I think it's really bad though. I think it's quite bad. I mean, it's not like it's something. It's better than nothing. I'll put it in C, but no, I'll put it in B. I think it can do something. It's Onyx has really high HP, 70 for 3, but Proctus accelerates to it, and it has 4 retreat, which is really bad, but it has 110 HP. It's hitting 70. You can look at a 70 for 2, essentially. I feel like that's pretty fair, and by that measure, it's quite good. It's not broken, but it's solid there. Then you have Mawile, which Mawile is honestly pretty good. If it wasn't metal, metal is like, it doesn't really have any cards, but Mawile does 20 and on a coin flip discards an energy from your points active. It is random, but this card, in my opinion, is pretty good. Honestly, kind of insane. Like if you flip head, energy is the most important thing in the game right now, and removing it sometimes is crazy. Like that's really good. Mawile, I'm going to put in S tier. It's one of the best cards in the game that no one plays because metal is really bad. Almost no one plays it. Mario is a card though. I've played against it. It can be kind of rough. Then we have Primate with the new man key help that helps us some, though it's like super weak. It's 40 HP after attacking, but it is pretty solid. I think this card is a solid stage 1 attacker. I'll put it in A tier. I wonder if I should move any of these down, but I don't feel terrible. Some are in like very different circumstances, but I feel all right about all of these. Then you have the Rhydon. Rhydon does, what is it? I don't even like know this card. It does 100 for 4, which isn't, that's so expensive. And its stats aren't that good. That's really bad. Then you have the Grapple Lock, which is 70 for 3 and force them to the bench. That seems quite bad. Like, forcing them to the bench isn't really like annoying for them. I mean, it's annoying with Pidgeot, but that's an ability. This is your attack, and you're not damaging the one you're sending up because then it's their turn. Like you damage their active, the new one's sent up, and then and that's it, right? And then they probably retreat it or attack with it or whatever. It's probably not good to switch them out. There are times when it's okay. There are times when it's good. I'm not saying it's always bad. It's okay, but it's not making up for this 70 for 30. Then you have Arbok. Arbok's are really solid. I'll put it in A tier. It's a very solid stage 1 Pokemon. Yeah. Then we have the Golbat, which is obviously not very good. Muck, yeah, I'll put in C tier. I'll put in B tier. It's kind of like Annihilate, but it's more expensive than Stage 1, which is a pretty big issue, but it can do some stuff. And then you have Weezing. Weezing is an S tier card. I really love this card. It's one of my favorite cards in Pokemon TCG Pocket. It's solid, consistent damage. Doesn't even need energy to be able to do damage using poison, using its ability. So it can do some stuff just doing that. Gets good value out of Koga. The two cards that get value out of it that can be played with it are Muck and Weezing, and Weezing's really good with it, and Muck's like really bad with it. You never want to use Koga on your Muck, I can't imagine, unless something's gone wrong, which maybe you will have to, but it's not great. But Weezing, you can tank. You have 110 HP, which is pretty solid. It's not like insane, but it's pretty good. And then you can heal up entirely. Like you just play a supporter and it heals you up entirely. You can send yourself back up, hopefully, and then you can be tanking some more. Your damage is low, but whatever. Then you have the metal Pokemon. You have Melmetal and Bisharp. Bisharp's like whatever. It's one of the best metal attackers. I mean, there's only 5 of them, including the basics that evolve. So it's not very good, but I'll put it in C tier because it's, if you want to play metal, you will end up playing this probably. But then you have Melmetal. Melmetal is interesting with the Metang. No, what is it? The Meltan. There we go. Says you accelerate to itself, and that's quite good, but it's low HP as well, so it's kind of sketchy. But then once your Melmetal's up, it has 130 and takes 20 less from attacks. So if you're against Mewtwo EX, they one-shot you, which is bad. But if you're not against Mewtwo EX, like Pikachu EX, 90, but they just do 70, then you Potion, and they hit you. Like, you can tank a lot theoretically, or maybe you won't. I'm not sure. And you could do 120 for 4, and if you can use a Mass a turn, you're in a very good spot. If you can use a mass twice, you're in an insane spot, but you probably won't be able to do that and actually survive. But I think this evolution line has some serious potential. It's not super strong though. It's all right. I think it's a solid evolution. I'll put it in an A tier. It's a solid stage 1. Really high retreat cost, kind of committal, but it's pretty good. Then you have some random stuff here. No, Persian, I'll go back down there. Furo is that the one that can win? No, that's Aerodactyl. Furo on Quothopus kind of energy, but it's no Mawile. It's a stage 1. It's 2 energies, and it's it's not great. I mean, it's more technical, more playable, but I'll put it in C tier. And I'm just tossing some random Pokemon F tier that aren't really very good. That'll be D tier. Chinchino's interesting. Its attack is objectively better than Pikachu EX's in terms of what it does, where it says it does 30 for each of your bench Pokemon, can hit, of course, up to 90 for 3 colors on stage 1. It's kind of like Pikachu EX, but has lower HP and is more energy by instant evolution, but it is colorless and it only gives up 1 point. So Chinchino, I think, has some value. I don't think it's good enough, but it's getting closer. It's an okay card with something going on. I'll put it in B tier. No, no one plays it. I'll put it in C tier. It's okay though. And then we have the Aerodactyl, which I've seen this card. On a coin flip, you put your opponent's active into their deck. You could like bench your opponent out, but that's kind of hard to do. And uh, it is like the best Pokemon, I guess, it evolves from a fossil. The fossils aren't very good, unsurprisingly. They're not like completely terrible, but they're not great because you can't really search out their basics at all or start them. So the fossil cards themselves are good though, allowing you for some more versatile plays, and they're kind of cool. They're not super good. Like I've seen some videos claiming like, oh, they're so good, and they're not that good. They're okay and give you some additional options, but can lose you games or can just be kind of useless as well. So they're not insane. They're all right, definitely all right. But this is the best one. If you want like evolve, you can throw an Aerodactyl. And Aerodactyl's okay. I'll put it in B tier. We have Persian. Persian, I think, is a good card. I mean, I don't think it's an amazing card. 40 for 2 is definitely not very good, but on a coin flip, you just cut a random card for your opponent's hand, and the Meowth draws you a card. The Meowth's pretty good. I'm going to put this in B tier. I think Meowth is really solid, but in the current metagame, things are fast, and it's getting one-shotted a lot, so it's okay, but it's not. You really want to attack with it twice, and you're not always able to do that. Now we have the stage 2s, and let's talk about the grass ones first. We got Venusaur. I think Venusaur's all right for healing, and Butterfree heals. I don't think those go together. I think the Butterfree line's really good. I'm going to put in an A because you can search for the grass Pokemon, and that's really good. Just getting yourself set up and healing. It's a cool evolution line that I like. I guess I'll talk about Victory Bell as well. It Gus, a basic if it's in the active. This card seems really interesting. Um, its attack's pretty bad. Its retreat's like not super high. It's kind of high. Its HP's it's all right. Its stats are pretty underwhelming though. But obviously it's a card with a really good, obviously only gusting ability in the whole game. You have Sabrina, and you have some things kind of like Sabrina, but Victory Bell is the only actual gust where you choose. So Victory Bell theoretically is like super good. Just being able to do that, but it's a stage 2. It needs to be in the active, and ultimately in practicality, it's kind of awkward. I haven't really seen this card too much. I've seen it a little bit, but I haven't really seen it in play. I don't think I've actually ever seen it played. I've just seen people try to evolve into it. So stage 2, it's just awkward to get off, but it has potential. I'll put it in C tier. I think it could be insane. Beedrill's pretty bad. It's 70 for 1 on a stage 2. On stage 2s, you want to just have more powerful, more expensive attacks. That's kind of what you're looking for because you'll have time to get the energies on. And then Vileplume is a bit better than that. It's 80 for 3, and your points active is asleep. Frostmoth is better than this. It's cheaper, and it's on a stage 1. But Frostmoth is pretty good. I'll put this in C tier. And then we have the Venusaur. Venusaur is all right. It has really high HP. I think the highest for a single prize. It might not. It's very close to that if it's not. And you have 160. You can do 80 for 4, but then you heal 30 from it, which is solid. I think with the grass healing, you have something here. Venusaur EX is a pretty good card, right? Venusaur also, it's not free, but you can get this from the pack, and that's cool, I guess. But yeah, it's all right. Charizard is the only fire stage 2 apparently. And okay. That is the only one. Also I'm sorry if I'm a little tired in today's video. But yeah, Charizard Charizard EX is very good. The Charizard sometimes played in the deck. I don't think it's very good in it, though it's like way worse. Having the in-between slash deck's really good. High HP is nice, but having Crimson Storm also one-shots everything. Fire Spin does not. So I think this card is kind of sketchy, but it's playable within a good deck, so C tier seems fine. Regular Blastoise is kind of bad. I mean, just 80 for 3 or 140 for 5. Those stat lines are kind of bad. It's expensive, hard to get the energy on without super great luck with Misty's heads. So I think this card's probably going in D tier here. Not a great stage 2. Now C tier, it has some value, but it's not great. We have Poliwrath, which does 21 hit into and does 80 for 3. Solid stat line, I guess. Its HP is the same as Blastoise. I guess it's about as good as Blastoise. You obviously don't have an EX to pair with it, but it seems alright. You have the what is this one? The Omastar and stops your opponent. There's very Pokemon for attacking next turn, which is kind of insane, but it's 3 on a stage 2 fossil. I think this card has some amount of potential, so I'll put it in B tier. Then we have the Greninja. Greninja is so cool. 20 snipe for its ability. I think this card's super cool. I'm going to put it in S tier. I love it. I think it's good. I don't think it's like amazing. I don't think it's a card that you're sticking in any deck. I don't think there's any single prizer like that. But it is the third card in water right now. Water, you have Starmie EX, you have Articuno EX, then you have Greninja. You have Lapras EX is an okay card. I'm not actually super familiar with the decks. I need to open them up. Um, how do I see the decks? No, I don't want this. It shouldn't be that hard. Okay, there we go. I found it. So within water, you got. Um, I just want to find a few lists. You got like Articuno EX, Starmie EX, and like Starmie Greninja. And Starmie Greninja, you're probably also seeing Articuno EX, though not always. You could mix and match them in various different ways. These lists are not playing Articuno EX. So, anyways, I think the big three are going to be like the EX are the main ones, but Greninja is a solid card in those decks as well. It's more solid than like the other lightning Pokemon in Pikachu EX, but also you're not always getting Greninja up in your games. So there are games, a lot of games where you're just kind of ignoring it. Then we got Electivire. Is that what it is? That's stage 2. Um, no, Electros. Electivire is what is that? Um, oh yeah, that's a different Pokemon. But Electros is paralysis on a coin flip for 3 on stage 2. It's kind of the same thing as the Venusaur without the tankiness, so it's pretty bad. It's going in D tier. I guess better than F tier, but the basics also kind of good. They're not that good. Then we have Alakazam, a solid attacker. It's kind of like the Jinx, but does a little more. I think it's was a stage 2 and it's 3 NG, so I'll say it's like A tier. This is a solid attacker though. Gengar supporter locks to 1 in stage 2, but it's not doing that much pressure, but it has potential, I guess, like maybe with some other stuff. The EX is pretty good with much higher HP and a more damaging attack. It is more, but it's better Pokemon. But B tier seems alright. Gardevoir is really good, obviously. S tier, just accelerating a bunch of energies throughout the game. It is it's probably the best single one point Pokemon in the game because it's really good. It's one of the defining cards. It's one of the 2 defining cards in the second best deck in the game, or probably second best in the game. I think Mewtwo EX is honestly, water might be better than Mewtwo EX, in my opinion. I've just been seeing so much water, and I usually beat it because I usually play with Pikachu EX, but sometimes I don't, and it seems really scary. I'm like, if I wasn't playing the type that hits it for weakness and just is really very good against it, I feel like I'd be in a scary position. And I played Mewtwo EX a lot as well. But anyway, I'm going to do a tier list at some point later, or a top 10 decks list. But Champ is not very good. I think this card's pretty bad. It's kind of expensive and isn't really any that much value. Golem is kind of funny with Brock, but seems bad. I don't really know what it does. It's expensive, and you accelerate with Brock, and you do 30 to yourself. Okay, then you have Machamp has like good HP and doesn't damage yourself, but it's not insane HP or tankiness or like healing or anything. Kabutops is kind of interesting, 140, and then you heal. There's 50 for 1, then heal 50. It's just kind of cool, but it's a fossil stage 2, so without high damage output. Then you have Nidoqueen and Nidoking. I think Nidoqueen is bad because you need your Nidokings to Nidokings, there we go, to power up your Nidoqueen. So that's pretty bad. I'll put in D. It has some potential, I guess, or it can do like something. Nidoking is going to be doing a little more consistently. So I guess that can go into C tier. It's still not that good. Then you have Dragonite. Dragonite's a really good attacker. Like when set up, it's very expensive. So I guess I'll put in A tier. Like it's probably one of the worst decks that people actually play in the game. So that's not good, but it's an okay card. You know, you do 50 randomly to 4 times to your opponent's Pokemon. You can just if you attack twice, you probably win. Though you don't always win, but you probably do. You could win in one attack, I think, but I don't know. You can. It's really hard to do that. Your opponent needs to like really set things up. You can like attack with a like wheezing or whatever once and attack and poison a little, and then you can definitely win in one Dragonite attack from there. So Dragonite's pretty solid. Pidgeot's a cool Pokemon, sending your opponent's active to the bench. I think it's A tier. I don't think it's like S tier, but it's a pretty solid disruptive ability. It's not like the same level of ability as something like Gardevoir or Greninja, but it's disruptive and can really hurt your opponent when paired with Arbok. That's a pretty solid deck. But anyways, this is my tier list of all the single prize Pokemon or single point Pokemon in Pocket. And what this told me was that there are a lot of Pokemon in Pocket that aren't very good, and that EXs are like better than all these cards. I think Guard like the best of these. They're all solid. No one plays Mawile, right? Mawile's no one plays, but Mawile's a good card. If Metal gets more cards, watch out because Mawile's gonna be all over the place and super annoying and super good. So just keep that in mind. I would be shocked if that doesn't end up seeing play, but yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, all the good stuff. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.